Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Rabbi Stephen, Rab Shmuel. And what can I say? We're getting going, aren't we? We've got Hebrew school going, and I want to thank the parents and I want to thank the kids. It's so far so good. It's only been a couple of weeks. And we got a few more weeks to go, then we'll break for Thanksgiving, and then we'll continue in earnest. And we'll keep teaching the kids. They're learning their Hebrew. We're talking Torah. We're learning about the holidays and some other stuff. So, and if anybody has any suggestions, please let me know. Along with that, some people again have requested another adult education class focusing on Torah. So this Thursday, we're going to be having our adult ed, and Judy and Sandy will be leading another discussion of Pirkei Avot, and we'll talk about it, see if we want to maybe intersperse some Torah shiur or some Torah lessons with in between the Pirkei Avot. Maybe we want to start a separate class, or maybe we want to see Pirkei Avot out to a conclusion and then pick up Torah. It's up to you, folks. I'm here as a resource. I'm your rabbi, and of course we always love suggestions, just like the suggestion this week for Saturday morning services to use a different version of El Adon. It was a beautiful version. Thank you, Jeff, for suggesting that, etc., etc. And also kudos and compliments to Lila for doing her part of leading services. We're certainly looking forward to the time when she does her bat mitzvah, and I think she's going to do very well. And again, if anybody has any feedback, let me know. You've got my phone number for a call or for a text. You've got my email for an email. You've got my websites there. I've got paths on my website, avenues on my website if you want to contact with me, and I think I'm going to start talking to some of you again, etc., etc. So, okay, so Vayera, we continue with our progression that shows God manifesting His law, His Torah, on earth for us, and using us Jews, us Hebrews. Not really Jews back then yet. We're Hebrews. And why are we Hebrews? Well, we come from the other side, Iver. And the word Iver, which is the root of the word Hebrew, has a couple of different meanings. First of all, Iver means, like I said, from the other side of the river, which is where Avraham, now he's Avraham, has come. And again, remember, Avraham is now Avraham, no longer Abram. And it's a negative commandment to not not call him by Abram, and it is a positive commandment to call him Abraham. Same with Sarai and Sarah. So, Eber was also one of our ancestors. Okay, one of our ancestors, and he was one of the progenitors of Noah, and we're all descended from Eber. So that's why we're Hebrews. I had a rabbi in Hebrew school years ago when I was in actually confirmation class, said that the Habirus were a tribe, and the Habirus were the ones from which all these people came: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and they're the ones that conceived of this one God. So the Torah, some people see it as a history. I will say that I agree that it's a history, but it's a history not necessarily of the Jewish people, which in a way it is, but it's really a history of God manifesting His law onto our world. Think about it. So as we go through Genesis, we don't have the Torah given yet, but we do have some Torah laws. This portion, Vayera, and he saw, or he appeared. There's Abraham, 3 days after circumcision. And I will say that this particular portion, Vayera, is kind of R-rated because we have some adult themes coming in here. I was talking to kids a little bit about circumcision, and, maybe that was a little bit over their head, but, when you say you're going to cut the flesh off your penis, I mean, that's what all Jewish kids get done. That's what everybody pretty much is getting done these days. And by the way, I read an article years ago when the AIDS epidemic was in big full. They said that circumcision is one of the best preventative measures against AIDS. Think about it, 50% effective. Now, of course, today they have drugs, but as a preventative measure, there you go. But it really was a covenant, all right, in the last portion of Lech Lecha, God told Abraham, I'm going to use this as a covenant, okay? So you're going to cut that flesh off your penis because that's where life comes from. Now, it's interesting because a student came in to see me in my office a few weeks ago. She was taking a comparative religion class, and it was interesting because she was Muslim. And she asked me about circumcision. She says, why do we get it done? And, I told her that Jews, it's a covenant. The Brit, covenant, Brit Milah. And she asked if women get circumcised. I said, no, there's no reason for it. Because the clitoris in a woman's anatomy is not used for reproduction. But the penis of a man is. That's how we create life. And that's why the covenant is on the penis, because that is our big connection to God. God created everything, right? Created life. And that's how men participate in creating life. And that's also why women are on a higher spiritual plane than men, because they actually they nurture a fetus in their womb until that fetus is viable and becomes a life. So women are on an actual higher spiritual plane, partly for that reason. So there's Abraham, and it's 3 days after his operation, after he took a rock, and I won't go any further than that, and 3 strangers appear. And these are angels in the guise of men. They look like men, they pretend to eat. As I was talking to the class, one of the differences between angels and humans is that angels don't have knees, they don't sit down. But these angels were there to deliver messages, because the Hebrew word for angel is malach, it's messenger. And each angel has one particular message from Hashem. One angel told Abraham that even though you're 100 and Sarah is 90, you're going to have a kid. And one of the words in the Torah, alav, has dots over it, and the dots are over the aleph, the yud, and the vav. Ayoi, where is Sarah? And Abraham's, well, Sarah's in his tent. Back then, his and her tents. They had tents. And in fact, one of the words in the Torah portion alludes to the fact that Abraham always set up Sarah's tent before his own. Chivalry, we started it. So one angel is there to tell Abraham that they are going to have a kid, that Sarah will not be barren, and that son will be called Yitzchak. And the word Yitzchak, the name, comes from the word mitzachek, which means to laugh, because everybody laughed with joy, and some people take Sarah to task. They say that she was laughing, I don't believe it. And they're like, God's God. He can do anything he wants. If he tells you you're going to have a kid, you're going to have a kid. So what are you laughing at? So you decide. It's one of those things. You decide whether she was laughing out of disbelief or disrespect, or whether she was just laughing out of joy, because that's what she said. So the other angel says, we're going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. They're wicked people. They don't like strangers. And the final angel says, but we are going to rescue Lot, your nephew, because at least he is somebody who has some morality, who lives in Sodom. And and then after they said that, Abraham starts talking to God. And Abraham is a very righteous person. This is why he was picked in the first place. He says to God, he has the audacity. A human has the audacity to confront God and said, you're the God of justice. Where's the justice in destroying a whole town if we can find 50 people? And it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah. There were 3 other cities. The only one name that I remember is Zoar. But there were 5 cities in all, and Abraham is saying, if you could find 50 righteous people, will you destroy those cities? And God's like, no, for 50 people, I'll let him go. Abraham's like, whoa, wait a minute, Hashem. What about 45? God's like, okay, what about 40? God's like, okay, what about 35? So we're bargaining. First time in history, somebody's bargaining, right? Finally, Abraham gets God down to 10. If you can find 10 people in all of those cities, in all 5 cities, will you destroy? And God says, no, I won't. Done. Deal's done. God leaves. Abraham goes back. And this is one of the reasons why we have a minyan when we do a sanctification in our synagogue. So what does it say? What did the Torah say? And the people of Israel will sanctify God. People, it's plural. Now, a lot of times when you see plural, Sanctification, oh, it's more than one, it's two, okay? But in this case, they tied the word people with the idea of 10 righteous people to spare Sodom. So, as we know, they couldn't find 50 people. All they found was Lot. And the angels came and told Lot, get out of town, pack your bags. Lot took his wife, his two virgin daughters, the ones that hadn't been married yet. The daughters that had married, they wanted to stay, didn't buy it, didn't believe it. So they got destroyed. And we know that Lot and the four of them left, and the wife turned around. And the angel said, don't turn around, just keep going. And she turned around, and one of my rabbis said, what happens when you turn around? You slow down. She got caught in the deluge, and now she's a pillar of salt. And this, by the way, is the area around the Dead Sea. So, all right, so that's this week's portion. Hope you're all adjusting to standard time. I know I am, and a little bit of jet lag for a while, but Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you this week for services, and take care. Shabbat Shalom.